Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be testing and shooting with the Adaptalux Xenon flash arms. When I'm photographing subjects like insects, I almost always want to use a flash to help freeze any motion. And when I first got my hands on these Adaptalux flash arms, I was really interested to see what sort of results I could get because they're so different to my usual lighting setup. Just before I go out in the field and take some photos, I'm going to quickly go over some of the specs and how these flash arms work. The cool thing about these is that they're wireless and they feature flexible bendy arms, which makes them great for photographing small subjects in awkward spots. It's also quite lightweight, only weighing 391 grams, making this ideal for shooting handheld for long periods of time. You power the flash arms using an Adaptalux control pod or Adaptalux pod minis. I'd personally go with a control pod as this has a lot more power than the pod minis. The modular design means you can use this with other products such as the LED lighting arms or even the UV lighting arms. These flash units are quite small, so the power output and recycle time do reflect that. But despite this, they'll still do a great job at freezing motion out in the field. The flash trigger connects to your camera's hot shoe, and this has a range of up to 3 meters. There's a 1/4 inch thread on top which can be used to hold your control pod or your pod minis. This makes shooting handheld really easy, but if reach is ever a problem because the arm's going to need to reach so far, then you can take your control pod or pod mini off the flash trigger and place the lights wherever you like within that 3 meter connection range. You control the power of the flash using the button on the flash head, or you can do this wirelessly using the Control Pod 3.0 and the Adaptalux app. At this moment in time, control of the Xenon flash arms in the Adaptalux app is only available on iOS and not Android. And because I've got an Android, that meant I was manually adjusting the power by pressing the button on the flash heads. I think that's enough talking about the specs. Let's get out there in the field and take some photos. I'm going to quickly talk about the setup. So I'm going to be using the Olympus OM1. That's my usual macro photography camera. But I'm going to be using a different lens to usual. So I've got the 60mm 1x macro lens on here. And the reason I'm using that is because it's a much smaller lens, so I'm able to get these flash arms out further. And the working distance is also shorter, which helps get these flash arms out further, and I can get some different sort of lighting angles there. My 90mm macro lens is about twice the size, and the working distance is a lot longer. So I'm quite limited when using that lens with this lighting. And you're probably wondering what this is. It looks kind of DIY, and it's some tissue diffusers that I made because the default diffusers are very close to the lights, so they're not really acting as a diffuser. They're kind of just blocking light. So I made my own, and I've created a bit of distance between the end of the flash head and the tissue, which means it should be a bit softer than using just the lights or the diffusers that are provided with the flash arms. There's some nice pink flowers down here. I'm not sure of the exact name of them, but these should be quite good because there's a lot of room around the flower, which means I can get creative and place the lights wherever I like. Just before I take the photo, I'm gonna turn off the boost live view so I can see the actual exposure, and I'm gonna expose it until it's quite dark. So I think about f7.1, 1/250 shutter, and ISO 200. Looks quite dark. Then I'm going to use the flash to expose the image. That looks quite nice. I'm really happy with the results there. When I was setting up the lighting, obviously because it's a flash, I can't preview the lighting in real time. So I was kind of just guessing and placing the lights wherever. But I think that turned out really well. Ooh, I've just found some caterpillars on this yellow flower here. I'm liking the look of this caterpillar here, curled up on the end of this yellow flower. Looks quite nice, so I think I'll photograph that. I'm gonna just keep my lights as they were from the last shot in the same position and see what that looks like. I just took a shot and realized that the light on the right is a lot brighter than the left. It almost looks like the left one is turned off. And after checking the power levels on my flash arm, it turns out that my left one was on the very lowest power. So I'm gonna press the button on the flash arm and bring that up to the full brightness. And I'm actually gonna turn the power down on my right one. So it's currently on full power, and I'm gonna bring it down to maybe just the second power because I want most of my light to come from that left arm. So let's take a shot. Yeah, I'm really liking how that shot looks. I'm glad I took the time to adjust the lighting because having the light brighter on the left just made a lot more sense for that composition. There's a wasp that's going from flower to flower very quickly, so if I act quick enough, I could potentially get a shot here. Oh, I think I managed to get a shot. I'm not even sure if it's in focus. I've just checked on the back of the camera and it looks like the eye is slightly out of focus, but I'm still happy. I managed to get most of the subject in focus. It's not a great composition, but these wasps are going so fast that I'm just happy to have got a shot there. I'm gonna wait around here and see if I can get another photo of one of those wasps because I keep seeing them land on the flowers, and I just know that if I stick around long enough, I can get a good shot. I managed to get a much better shot this time. I like how the flower is quite symmetrical and I can actually see the wasp's face this time and it's in focus. It was definitely worth sticking around that little bit longer to get a better shot. I've just spotted a couple leaf hoppers. There's one on this left leaf here, one on this right leaf. It is a bit windy, it's blowing around, so it might be a bit difficult, but there's a lot of space around it to get my camera and lights in there, so let's see if we can get a shot. To increase your chances of getting a photo, it's best to set your magnification first and then position your lights where your focus is and then go in to get a shot, especially when you're photographing bugs, because as soon as you go in to get a shot, they might fly away or jump away. And yeah, if you don't have all your stuff set up, then you're going to be wasting time. I'm actually quite surprised with that shot. Because I shot less magnified, I included a lot of the texture of the leaf, which I think made the shot look really nice. And luckily, the leaf hopper moved into the center of the leaf, which made the composition even stronger. Oh, there's a nice grass bug, plant bug. I always forget what they're called, but they're very common, but it's in a really nice pose on the top of this plant here. That was a nice and easy shot there. The bug was quite cooperative and I was able to actually hold the plant that it was on to get the shot and get a much nicer composition. And the pose it was in just made for a really nice shot there. There's quite a lot of green grass bugs, or plant bugs I think they're called, on this purple flower here. So we're going to pick out one of these and get a shot. I'm going to darken this one on the left. So I'm just going to press the button and keep an eye on the lights. So the lights here indicate the brightness. Currently it's on 2, which I think I'll keep it on actually. The other one will be on full power, which is 5 dots. So that should create some shadow and make the lighting look a bit more interesting, having different powers on each lighting arm. I think what I'm going to do is bump the ISO up quite a bit, something like 800. Then I'm going to adjust my aperture until it's dark. So F9 looks good. Now let's get the shot. That was a really nice shot. I managed to get one of the bugs in the foreground out of focus and then one of the bugs in the background in focus. So it's quite a nice layered shot and the lighting looks really nice as well. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from photographing bugs because I've just spotted a really nice looking flower that's growing over this tree root here. Because this is a flower and not a bug, it's not going to move anywhere. So I've got all the time in the world to set up my lighting and get a really nice shot here. Composition wise, I want to get nice and low and include the tree stump in the bottom of frame. That'll be a nice bit of texture to the shot. And then I'm going to have the flower bending over into the left of frame. Aperture for this shot, I think I'm going to use F9 because I'm getting a single shot and I want a lot of my subject to be in focus. I think I might completely turn off the right lighting arm. So I've just got the light coming from the left and that will create a lot more shadow and depth in this shot. I might as well unplug it if I'm not using the right lighting arm. I'm just going to use back button autofocus to quickly get the flower in focus. And let's get this shot. So my original exposure was underexposed, and when I brought in that flash arm, it illuminated the flower, which is why you're seeing a black background there. But I'm really happy with how that shot looks. I like the texture on the wood, and I like how the flower just pops in the shot. I kind of wish there was a bit of backlight on the flower to help it separate from the background a bit more, but it's pretty much impossible to do that with the pod on top of the camera. So what I can do is actually just unscrew the pod from the receiver on the camera, and I'm still able to shoot because it is wireless, so I can now position this light wherever I want. I think I'll use 2 lighting arms for this shot now, so I'm gonna put that in the bottom right one, and I'm gonna place it sort of around here maybe. I've got to be careful not to include it in the shot. Let's see what power we're on. Full power on the right one, that's what I want. And I think we'll just do full power for the left one and see what that looks like. I'm gonna position them quite low to the ground, pointing up at the flower, and that should create a rim light on both sides of the flower, helping it separate nicely from the background. I've just got to adjust it slightly so the tissue isn't in the shot. Again, I'm going to use back button autofocus to get the flower in focus, just like so, and let's get the shot. In my opinion, I much prefer this shot. It looks a lot more dramatic because I've placed the lights behind the subject, and that's created a rim light on the flower, which helps it separate from the background and also creates a lot more shadow and texture in the shot. Obviously, it would be pretty awkward to set up your lights like that when you're photographing a bug, but for static subjects like this flower, it works really nicely. I've just spied a nice looking beetle on this fern, and it's staying really still because it seems to be feeding on whatever that is on the leaf. I've decided to take the pod off the receiver to get some more dramatic lighting because this beetle does seem very cooperative and I've got the time to do so. It's pretty hard to set up the lights here because I haven't brought out a tripod to hold them, so I'm just going to hold it with my hand and hopefully that works out. Setting up the lighting for that shot was quite difficult, but I think the results were worth it. By positioning the lights to the side and slightly behind the beetle, it created a lot of shadow and made the shot look really dramatic. I've just spied a fly on the end of this fern and I think it'll make for a really nice textured shot, so let's be quick and get a shot here. I'm going to have both arms pointing from the right and see what that looks like. I'm pretty happy with that shot. It's always nice to photograph flies on textured things like ferns, and the lighting did a really good job of bringing texture out of the fern there. There's a nice little wasp down here, but I suspect it will fly away when I try and get a photo, but let's try anyway. I didn't really have much time to adjust my lighting there, so what I did is shot in portrait because I had my lights on the right and I wanted them to come from either the top or from the left. So by shooting in portrait, I was able to get the lights where I wanted them. I've taken a good amount of images now, so I'm going to go back to the studio and take a closer look at some of the images and then share my final thoughts on using the Adaptalux lighting arms for macro photography. Firstly, I'm going to talk about some things I like about this system. The biggest selling point for me is the flexible gooseneck arms. Unlike traditional twin flashes, these Adaptalux flexible arms allow you to place the lights almost anywhere around your subject. This means you have a lot of creative freedom when it comes to setting up your lighting, and you avoid that flat look you might get with other lighting out there. It also made experimenting with the lighting a lot quicker, because I could bend the arms in a few seconds to get some totally different results. I did find that for quite a few shots, the arms weren't long enough to get the lighting in the exact position that I wanted them to be in. But because this system is wireless, that meant I could just take the control pod off the camera and then place my lights wherever I wanted within that 3-meter range. For a lot of subjects though, it was more practical just to keep the control pod on camera, because then I could just keep both hands on camera. For macro photography, I value small and lightweight gear, and with 2 flash arms attached, this whole system weighs 391 grams, making it really easy to shoot with for long periods of time. And of course, you can use just 1 flash arm, making it even lighter, or you can use up to 5 arms, and even then, it'll still be quite light. This brings me on to another thing I like, which is the modular design. If you already own Adaptalux gear, then you're buying into a system rather than replacing it. One day you could be using LED lights to photograph flowers or mushrooms, and then the next day you could be using the Xenon flash arms to photograph insects. You could even use the Xenon flash arms and the LED lights at the same time, perhaps if you want to use an LED light as a focusing light for the flash arms. I'm now going to talk about a few things I don't like about this system. I've mentioned this already, but I wish the flash arms were a bit longer, so I had more creative control when the control pod is mounted onto the camera. As you saw in the video, I decided to use the smaller 60mm lens that I own, so that I had more reach with the flash arms when it was mounted on the camera. If you have a longer focal length lens with a greater working distance, then it can be quite hard to place your lights wherever you want when you're mounting it onto your camera. Despite this, you can take the control pod or pod mini off camera and shoot within that 3-meter range. But for photographing skittish subjects like insects, you ideally want everything to be on camera so you can focus all your attention on getting your shot in focus and nailing that shot. Something I felt that was holding me back was the power output and recycle time. I often had to shoot slightly less magnified than I usually do for the flash to expose for the shot. And to be able to use apertures like f9, I had to bump my ISO up to 800 because the flash isn't that bright. Because I was on full power, the recycle time was about a few seconds. And when I do macro photography, I like to use sequential shooting with manual focus and then fire off a few shots and hope that one of them has the eye in focus. However, the slow recycle time made it quite difficult for me to get my shots in focus because I had to use single shooting and nail my focus with that single shot because the recycle time was a few seconds. It sometimes took me several shots to nail focus, and it's not really ideal when you're photographing skittish subjects like insects. So this changed my workflow quite a bit, and I ended up looking for subjects that were less skittish and gave me more time to set up my lighting and nail my focus. The quality of light looks really nice from these flash arms, but because the flash head is so small, that means naturally the light is going to look quite harsh. So that's why you saw me using those DIY tissue diffusers throughout the whole video. And the reason I didn't use the provided Adaptalux diffusers is because they only diffuse the light ever so slightly because they're so close to the actual flash head. They also magnetically connect to the flash head, which saves you a lot of time and is quite cool. But I felt that when I was using them and I knocked them into something, they would easily fall off. I've decided to leave the pricing until last because it really depends on how you look at it. If you already own Adaptalux products, perhaps you already have a control pod, then it's not going to be that expensive because all you'll have to do is buy a couple of the flash arms. But if you don't have any Adaptalux products at all, then it can be quite expensive. This isn't the cheapest macro flash system you can buy, but what you're paying for isn't just the flash itself, it's the flexibility of the lighting system. If all you need is straightforward front lighting, there's definitely cheaper options out there. But if you enjoy shaping light and experimenting with different looks, that's where the Adaptalux system really comes into play. Overall, I think the Adaptalux Xenon flash arms can create some really interesting and unique looking lighting for macro photography. My usual style is to shoot at high magnifications and capture a lot of detail through focus stacking. I'd say it's not practical to shoot in that style with this Adaptalux system, but it's definitely great at shooting at lower magnifications and getting some really creative lighting results. So if you're interested in the Adaptalux Xenon flash arms, then I'll leave a link to that down below in the description, along with all the rest of the gear used in today's video. And those are affiliate links, so if you buy through those, I'll get a small commission at no extra cost to you, which will help support the channel. But with that said and done, I'm going to end today's video here, so make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.